What's up, internet comic book fam, and welcome back to a new video. It's that time of week again where we sit down and take a look at all the best and worst covers hitting your local comic shops on this Wednesday, July 9th, 20. I think we got a few great covers for you. It is a bit lighter of a week this week as far as books go, so that's always good on your wallet. I know it is, especially on mine nowadays. As always, we're going to start by giving our best cover of the week, our worst cover of the week awards. Then we're going to go through all the additional books through DC, Marvel, and your independents with a few honorable mentions thrown in. With that being said, and without any further ado, let's get into our offering of books that we have for you this week. And we're going to start off with our best cover of the week, and it's going to go to this beautiful Alex Ross Fantastic Four #1 variant. That's right, Marvel's First Family is finally back with their new ongoing series. If you remember, Marvel stopped the ongoing Fantastic Four series a few years ago when they were trying to get the rights back from Fox, and they have since decided now, with 2025 being the year of Fantastic Four, with Fantastic Four First Steps releasing in theaters in a few short weeks. Now is the perfect time to bring back the Marvel's First Family in print form with a new #1 and a new ongoing series. And that's what we have here. And the reason I feel like this is the best cover of the week is, well, because this cover, it delivers a breathtaking blend of iconic characters, vibrant cosmic energy, and a palpable sense of the grander scale conflict, perfectly capturing the epic stakes that only the Fantastic Four can face. Moving on to our worst cover of the week. Well, this is going to go to Batman Dark Patterns #8. This cover B, this Martin Simmons variant. The reason it's got the worst of the worst for me is because despite its artistic ambitions and thematic relevance, its excessively abstract and indistinct portrayal of Batman makes him almost unrecognizable, resulting in muddled and visually unengaging image that fails to excessively showcase the iconic hero. It's just kind of all over the place. It would be a nice oil or chalk drawing, but just as far as the cover goes, it's very hard to understand what's going on. It's just not a great cover, in my opinion. That's really all I can say about it. Moving on, we're going to move into DC now. Leading us off in DC, we have Absolute Superman #9. And my best cover of the week goes to this cover C, Gerald Perel variant. And the reason I feel like it's the best cover of the week on this book is because the contrast of the deep red cape against the bright, fiery energy is visually stunning, drawing your eye right to the action. This cover is the best of the week because it beautifully captures a moment of immense power and heroic action, making you initially excited to see what kind of epic adventure awaits inside. It's got that "I'm about to do something amazing, you ready" vibe, but it's also simply irresistible. And for that, we can move on to our worst cover of the week. That's given me a little bit of Frank Miller vibes here. We have this 125 Dustin Guyon variant. Now, I'm usually a fan of Dustin Guyon's work, but this cover is just a miss for me. And the reason I say that is because with this fiery red splash background, it certainly adds to the explosive feel, but it almost contributes to the general visual loudness that makes your eyes tired after a moment. It's going for a maximum impact, but sometimes a little mess can be more. It's not a bad cover by any means, but it's like a rock song where every instrument is playing at full volume. You get the power, but maybe you miss some of the melody on this book and in this cover. To our next cover, we have Superman Action Comics 1088. The best cover of the week, in my opinion, goes to this cover C, Carl Herschel variant. Sorry if I butchered that. The inclusion of the space station in the foreground adds a fantastic sense of scale and adventure. It grounds the scene, pun intended, is a recognizable sci-fi setting, making you wonder what kind of cosmic shenanigans he's getting into or what mission he's on. This cover is the best of the week because it's dynamic, beautiful color, and it perfectly captures the optimistic spirit of Superman embracing a vastness of space. It's got that "I believe I can fly all the way to the moon" vibe that is simply infectious. And with Superman coming out at the end of this week, what a great cover for the, kicking off the week of just Superman craze that I think it's going to be here with the release of James Gunn's Superman. To our not so good cover of the week, we have this cover B, Leonardo Romero variant. I think this cover is perfectly pleasant. It's full of good vibes, but it's like a perfectly baked vanilla cake. Nice, but perhaps not as exciting as some of the more adventurous flavors out there. It's got the smile, but maybe not the thrilling spills. There's not a whole lot to this cover that says, hey, pick me up, there's going to be a grand adventure on the inside. But it does have crypto, and we're going to see how fans go crazy for crypto in the coming days. Moving on to Batman and Robin 23 Sins of the Past. My best cover of the week goes to this Rafael de la Torre variant. This cover is the best of the week on this book because it's visually striking, incredibly atmospheric, and creates an instant sense of dread and excitement. It captures the essence of Gotham's dark protectors facing off against a truly nightmarish threat. It's got that Gotham still got it, and it's probably very sharp teeth vibe that makes it irresistible. Beautiful Batman and Robin cover right there, with Batman in the shadows and Robin in the forefront, ready to step off the building, it looks like, with the just beautifully done cover. We have this cover E125 John McKira variant. This variant, I felt like, it's got a lot of fantastic individual elements and this very adventurous spirit, but the overall composition feels a little less cohesive than it could be. It's like a really exciting buffet where everything is delicious, but it's all piled into one plate, making it hard to appreciate each dish individually. It's got the excitement, but maybe just needs a tiny bit more visual breathing room. Moving on to our next cover, we got Supergirl number 3. And our best cover of the week on Supergirl number 3 goes to this cover B Stanley Art Germ Lou variant. This is the best cover of the week on this book because this cover is bright, dramatic, and wonderfully wholesome, delivering a huge dose of classic superhero wonder with a delightful feline twist. It's got that life is better when you're flying with your super cat vibe that's simply irresistible. I think it goes without saying, it's Art Germ. You can't go wrong with Art Germ on a cover, right? At least I don't think so. Moving on to our not so great cover of the week, we got this cover D 125 Joellen Jones variant. It's a cover with an artistic merit and a lovely Supergirl, but the somewhat undefined background element and a slightly static pose make it less impactful than it could be. It's got that right ingredients, but perhaps needs a little more cosmic clarity to truly shine against some of the other covers out on Supergirl number 3 this week. Moving on, we have Aquaman number 7. And my best cover of the week on this Aquaman book goes to this cover B, Edwin Gelman variant. I think this cover is the best cover on this book this week because it perfectly blends a classic, powerful character portrayal with the dynamic, magical effect, making him utterly captivating. It's got that I rule the waves and I know it vibe that's simply irresistible. Up next for our worst cover of the week for Aquaman number 7, we have this cover C, Lashley Larynx Lee variant. It's a visually stunning piece of art showcasing a beautiful relationship, but as a comic book cover whose job it is to entice with action and intrigue. It might leave potential readers asking, are they going to fight anymore or just gaze lovingly at each other for 20 pages? It's got the love, but maybe not the immediate thrilling shove that it needs to grab your attention to pick it up off the shelf. Moving on to Green Lantern Corps number 6. My best cover of this week for Green Lantern Corps number 6 goes to this Fernando Pasarin variant. This cover is the best of the week for this book because it's bursting with action, visual drama, and perfectly captures the immense power and responsibility of the Green Lantern Corps, facing a truly galactic threat. It's got the undeniable Houston, we have a problem, and it's on fire vibe that makes it best cover of the week. Moving into the not so best cover of the week, we have this cover C, Ryan Gonzalez variant. It's a delightful piece of art if you're into paper dolls, but as a comic cover vying for attention on the rack, it's probably going to be outshined by its more action-packed, less craft-oriented brethren. It's got the cuteness, but not the commanding read me now presence that you look for when you're trying to choose the cover you want on your books on the shelves every Wednesday. Now we move on to Trinity, Daughter of Wonder Woman number 2. Our best cover this week goes to this cover C, Ijukure variant. This cover is the best of the week because it beautifully captures a powerful, engaging Trinity in action, making it utterly irresistible. It's got that undeniable future is bright, literally feeling that makes it truly stand out. And for our worst cover of the week on this book, we have this cover S1 and 50 Paulina Ganucheau variant. It's a lovely portrait, but as a comic cover, it relies too heavily on explaining the plot rather than showing it, making it less engaging than its more visually dynamic peers. It's got the information, but it's missing the initial wow factor that makes you want to pick this up and read it. I mean, by this cover, you're just thinking it's a young Trinity playing with the Superman corgi, but it is cute. It is wholesome, but it just doesn't stand up well against the rest of the covers on this book this week. Moving on, we have Superman Treasury 2025 Hero for All #1. And the best cover of the week goes to this Bruno Redondo cover. This is the best cover of the week on this book because it delivers a powerful, inclusive message with an excellent composition and a clear, heartwarming theme. It's exactly what Superman is all about. Moving into our not so great cover of the week, we have this cover C Scott Kolbish Friends and Foes wraparound variant. This cover landed in the worst covers of the week pile this week because despite its impressive roster of heroes and undeniable cheerfulness, it suffers from a severe case of visual overload and a smile so bright it could outshine a supernova. It's a fun tribute, but as a comic cover, it's more of a Where's Waldo for superheroes than a compelling glimpse into the actual story inside. That's it for DC. Now we're going to move on into Marvel Comics. First up, from Marvel, we have this Uncanny X-Men #17. This cover of the week on this X-Men goes to this 1/50 Azukra Montana Virgin variant. This cover is the best of the week because it masterfully combines unique character design with compelling visual storytelling, creating a beautiful and intriguing image that promises both style and a good dose of uncanny X-Men action. Moving on to our worst cover of the week, we go to this A cover. This cover is the worst of the week because despite its successful creation of a dark atmosphere and intriguing title, it sacrifices visual engagement and character detail, making it less compelling as a storefront for the exciting mutant adventure within. Moving on to our next cover this week, we have Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion #2. Our best cover of the week on this book goes as 1/100 Safu Virgin variant. This cover is the best of the week on this book because it perfectly captures the high-stakes, action-packed world of Miles Morales with its stunning visual energy, dynamic character poses, and a palpable sense of conflict that screams, "Pick me up and read me." With that being said, on to our not so great cover of the week, we have this 1/25 Giuseppe Kamakuli variant. This cover is the worst cover on this book this week because despite its polished art and cool new costume, it's a bit too static and subdued for a Spider-Man comic. It's a great demonstration of core strength, but it doesn't quite capture the high-flying, web-slinging, pulse-pounding excitement we expect from our friendly neighborhood wall crawlers. Moving on to our next book this week, we have another Miles Morales, but this time we have Miles Morales Spider-Man 35. Best cover of the week goes to this 1/25 Simone DeMeo variant. This cover is the best cover on this book this week because it combines a commanding and dynamic pose for our hero with a beautifully atmospheric city backdrop and the subtle sparking details of his powers, creating visual excitement and instantly engaging piece that makes you want to immediately dive into the latest adventure head first. All right, from our best cover of the week to our not so great cover of the week on this Miles Morales Spider-Man, we have this Pierre Perez retro version variant. This cover landed in the worst covers of the week pile this week because despite its nostalgic charm and its clear intention to reintroduce Miles Morales to the Marvel comic reader, its static main pose and overly explanatory inset bubbles create a cluttered and less dynamic visual experience, making it more like a syllabus than a thrilling comic adventure. Up next, we have this Fantastic Four #1, and of course, the cover for the best cover of the week on this one made our best of the week in this Alex Ross variant, so I don't think we need to go over that again. But the worst cover of the week goes to this Lorenzo Pastrojovi Disney What If variant. Sorry if I butchered that name. This cover is the worst cover of the week. Despite its playful intentions and nostalgic art style, the clash of the established tone, cosmic horror versus beloved cartoon, and the slightly less than terrifying depiction of the villain, making the doomsday scenario feel more like a Tuesday morning cartoon kerfuffle than a universe-ending event. Moving on, we have Red Hulk #6. The best cover of the week for Red Hulk #6 goes to this 1/25 Dan Panozin variant. This cover landed in the best covers of the week because it delivers an incredibly detailed, dynamic, and intimidating portrayal of the monstrous werewolf, promising an epic and terrifying read with every snarling fiber of its being. And the worst cover of the week on the Red Hulk #6 goes to this Michael Allred Retro Vision variant. This cover landed in the worst pile this week because despite its retro appeal and the presence of two powerful characters, the slightly awkward poses, particular angles, and disjointed composition makes the action feel less impactful and more like a quirky vintage wrestling match. Moving on to Star Wars Legacy of Vader number 6. Our best cover of the week goes to this Derek Chu A cover. This cover found its way on the best covers list because it masterfully combines a powerful, iconic character, a dramatic setting, and brilliant use of a light and shadow to create an intensely captivating and deeply atmospheric image that perfectly embodies the dark, compelling spirit of the Star Wars universe and Kylo Ren himself. Up next for our worst cover of the week on Star Wars The Legacy of Vader number 6, we have this 1 in 25 Josemira Casanova variant. This cover landed in the worst pile this week because despite its high quality artwork and intriguing character, it sacrifices dynamicism and compelling narrative for a somber, static pose that doesn't quite capture the high stakes or dramatic intensity expected from a Star Wars comic. It's a nice walk, but not a thrilling sprint, and one that you don't want to see when you're picking up a Star Wars book. Moving on, we have Predator Black, White, and Blood number 1, and our best cover of the week for this goes to this Paulo Villani variant. This cover found its way on the best cover of the week because it's masterfully utilizing a stark color scheme to highlight a hyper-dynamic, terrifying, and instantly iconic moment for a predator in the clutches of a monstrous T-Rex, promising a brutal and unforgettable read inside. And from that, we go to our not so good cover of the week on this Predator Black, White, and Blood. We have this 1 in 25 Federico Vizzini variant. This cover found its way to the worst pile because despite its strong atmospheric elements and clear thematic intent, its static pose and lack of immediate action makes it less of a thrilling hook and more of a quite, albeit gruesome, still life, leaving us wishing for a little more hunt in our hunter. With that being said, we're going to now move into our independent books this week. And first up on our independents, we have Transformers number 22. We found out a few weeks ago that we are coming to the end of Daryl Warren Johnson's time on this book after issue 25, and Robert Kirkman is going to be taking it up. So with that being said, our best cover of the week for Transformers number 22 goes to this cover D, 1 in 25 Manabu Yoshiro variant. This cover found its way to the best cover of the week list because it masterfully combines iconic characters and a grand sense of scale and an immediate visual narrative that screams epic battle. It promises a high-stakes, planet-shattering adventure inside, all with stunning artistic flair. And of course, you can't go wrong with a beat-up Optimus Prime in that giant Megatron laughing head in the background as Optimus stands on a pile of other robots. Beautiful cover. Moving on to our worst cover for Transformers 22, we got this cover B, George Corona variant. This cover found its way to the worst cover of the week list because despite its attempt at a dramatic, war-torn aesthetic with the heavy reliance on silhouettes and limited details, making the key characters blend into the background, sacrificing the dynamic visual impact and individual personality that makes Transformers covers truly stand out. It's a bit too much mood and not enough bot, in my opinion. Moving on, we got Conan the Barbarian number 22. Our best cover of the week for this Conan the Barbarian goes to this cover B, Riccardo Verticini variant. This cover masterfully delivers on the promise of savage fantasy action with incredibly dynamic character work, a truly formidable foe, and a vibrant, intense color palette that perfectly encapsulates the thrilling essence of Conan the Barbarian. With that being said, we're going to move on to our not so good cover of the week for this Conan the Barbarian book, and it goes to that cover D, Jason Sean Alexander variant. Look, despite its strong artistic style, the awkward composition, the sword that acts as a visual barrier, and the rather puzzling shoulder rider makes it less of a clear, compelling barbarian epic and more of a head scratcher, in my opinion. Moving on to Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring number 1. If you read the first series, it was fantastic. Well, this is a prequel series to that, and I'm so looking forward to it. And with that, our best cover of the week goes to none other than this cover B, Tony Fleece movie homage variant. This cover found its way to the best cover of the week because its chilling simplicity, smart visual storytelling, and perfectly unsettling atmosphere creates an instant, iconic, and deeply effective horror image that promises a truly unique and terrifying read. Moving into our not so great cover on this book, we have this Riley Rossmo storybook variant. And I didn't like this cover because despite its intriguing character and thematic elements, the overly decorative frame and cluttering missing letters detract from the central image, making it feel less impactful and more visually confusing than its chilling premise deserves. Moving on to Hello Darkness number 12. The best cover of the week for the Hello Darkness number 12 goes to this cover B Jenny Frizen variant. I feel like this cover is incredibly effective. Its close-up perspective, powerful emotional portrayal of fear, and chillingly detailed antagonist hand combined to create a truly unforgettable and deeply unsettling horror masterpiece. Moving on to our worst cover of the week, we have this Martin Morazzo Virgin variant. This book found its way onto the worst cover of the week section because despite its clear artistic efforts, with a blind man with no eyes sitting in front of a plate of eyeballs about ready to chow down and eat them, its subdued mood, lack of dynamic tension, and somewhat generic composition failed to fully capitalize on the evocative title, resulting in a visual that's more of a contemplative head scratch than chilling. Moving on to Planet Death number 1 from Bad Idea. We have this cover B Lionel Francis Yu variant. The reason I picked this cover to be the best cover of the week on this book this week is because I felt like it had an incredibly strong character design, a palpable sense of impending conflict, and perfectly gritty atmosphere, and it combines to create an immediate and exciting visual hook that promises a truly explosive story. And coming up to our worst cover of the week for Death Planet, we have this cover G 1 in 250 Chris Bellaccio foil variant, giving us real Frank Miller vibes. This cover landed itself on the worst cover of the week in my opinion because despite its energetic action and detailed art, the overly busy composition and distracting bright lights obscure the main elements and the title, making it harder to appreciate the impending death of the planet. And moving on, coming to us from writer, director, actor Kevin Smith, we have Archie Meets Jay and Silent Bob number 1. Our best cover of the week on this book goes to this cover C Francisco Francavilla variant. This cover is the best cover of the week on this book because of its masterful use of atmosphere, captivating character design, and effective lighting create an intensely memorable and highly artistic image that perfectly embodies its title. Don't get a better depiction of Jay and Silent Bob here, am I right? Moving on to our worst cover of the week, we got this cover D Phil Hester variant. And I kind of put this on the worst cover of the week because despite its clever concept and appropriate art style, the static and low energy composition failed to create any visual excitement or compelling narrative, making it feel more like a bland character lineup than a dynamic comic book cover. It's just, look at how tiny Silent Bob's hands are. And is that even a hand that reminds me of the Butler from Scary Movie 2? Like, this is my strong hand. Like, it's just not a great cover composition wise, but not that it's terrible, but there are a lot of covers on this book, and to me this was just the worst one with the composition of Silent Bob's hands. And that's it for our DC, Marvel, and Independence. Now we're going to get into our honorable mentions, and first up we have this 1 in 25 Yasmin Parti Magique number 7 variant. I love this cover because I think it delivers a potent combination of dynamic action, striking visual contrast, and a clear sense of the character's powerful magical abilities, making it an instantly engaging and memorable piece of comic book art, one that is sure to make you stand up and be like, let me take a look at this as you pick it up off the shelf. And then we also have Fantastic Four First Steps number 1. Now this is the prequel book to the movie that's coming out in a few weeks, so you might want to definitely pick this up to kind of get a little bit better of understanding of what's going on in the Fantastic Four First Steps movie. This beautiful Phil Noto cover here. This cover masterfully blends nostalgic charm with clear classic superhero action, offering a light-hearted yet exciting glimpse into the world of Marvel's first family. It's a wonderfully accessible and visually engaging piece that promises a fun, adventure-filled read. And that brings us to the end of our best and worst covers for the week of July 9th, 2025. Let me know in the comments section below what you thought of my list, what maybe covers you thought stood out more than others. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my list, and let me know what you're picking up at your local LCS this New Comic Book Wednesday. But that'll be it for me. I hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy New Comic Book Day, and we'll see you next time around the spinner rack.
In the shadows we gather, sharing tales of the screen, from comics to movies.